Hey everyone, welcome to this deep dive on boosting your immune system.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, so we're going to be unpacking a YouTube video by Dr. Sten Ekberg,
Okay.
and it's titled #1 Absolutely Best Way to Boost Your Immune System Is.
Catchy.
Yeah, very catchy. But before we dive in, let me set the stage.
Okay.
Imagine it's the holidays.
Oh, yeah.
There's sugar everywhere, you're stressed, maybe not sleeping well.
The most wonderful time of year.
Right, and everyone's getting sick.
Definitely relatable.
Oh, for sure. So how do you stay healthy?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question.
Right. This deep dive is all about giving you the knowledge
Okay.
to not just survive the holidays, but really thrive during that time.
Love it.
You know what I find really interesting is we often treat our immune system like it's this separate thing, like a button to push when we feel a sniffle coming on.
Yeah, like boost my immune system. Go.
Exactly, but it's so connected to our overall well-being.
It really is.
It's almost like a reflection of how we live our lives.
Oh, I like that.
And Dr. Ekberg really drives that home by using this awesome analogy of a castle
Oh, a castle.
to explain how our immune system works.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, so he starts by talking about our barriers.
Okay.
You know, our skin, mucous membrane, and even stomach acid.
The line of defense.
Exactly. They're like the castle walls.
Makes sense.
Keeping those invaders out.
I mean, that's pretty effective, right? Like, our skin is amazing.
It's incredible how effective they are. Think about vultures.
Vultures.
They can digest decaying carcasses that would be toxic to most other animals.
Well, that's right, because of their stomach acid.
Yeah, their stomach acid is as strong as battery acid.
What? Battery acid?
I know, it's crazy.
That's intense.
It is. Okay, so let's say some invaders do manage to sneak past those walls.
Uh-oh.
What happens then?
Well, then the real battle begins.
It does. That's when our innate immune system kicks in.
Okay, the rapid response team.
Yeah, exactly. These are the cells that act like Pac-Man.
Love that analogy.
You're just gobbling up anything that doesn't belong.
Gotta love a hungry Pac-Man cell.
Oh, yeah. But don't they get overwhelmed if there's like a massive attack?
Good point.
Like during flu season when everyone's coughing and sneezing?
Yeah, like, do they ever get tired?
Well, they can get pretty busy, but luckily we have a backup system,
Oh, good.
the adaptive immune system.
Okay, so this is like the special forces coming in?
Yeah, Dr. Ekberg compares it to an intelligence agency.
Ooh, I like that.
So it carefully studies each threat and creates a detailed plan of attack.
But it's more targeted.
Yeah, it's slower to react, but much more strategic.
Okay, that makes sense.
And this is how we develop long-term immunity, right?
Right, like with chickenpox.
Exactly. Once you've had it, your adaptive immune system has a file on it.
Like a most wanted poster for that virus.
Exactly. So it's ready to fight back if it ever shows up again.
That's pretty amazing.
It is, but even the best defenses need support.
That's true.
And that's where our lymphatic system comes in.
The cleanup crew.
Yes. It acts like our body's oil filter.
Removing all that waste and debris.
Exactly. Keeping everything running smoothly.
Gotta keep things flowing.
Oh, for sure. But you know, there's also something else that's super important for immunity.
Oh, is this about the gut?
It is. Our gut health is like foundational.
Right, I've heard about that.
Dr. Ekberg talks about how we have trillions of bacteria living in our gut.
Trillions.
Trillions. And most of them are actually on our side.
What? Really?
Yeah, they're like our allies helping to train our immune system.
Like little microscopic soldiers.
Exactly. And they keep harmful bacteria in check.
That's amazing.
It is. This is what's known as the gut microbiome.
Okay, the gut microbiome.
Have you heard of that before?
Oh, yeah, it's everywhere these days.
It is, but there's so much info out there, it can be hard to know what's really important.
Yeah, like what do we actually need to know?
Right. So what are some of the key things Dr. Ekberg highlights when it comes to our gut?
Well, he's a big advocate for feeding the good bacteria
Okay.
with prebiotics and probiotics.
So how do you do that?
Well, one way is to incorporate more fermented foods into your diet, like yogurt, sauerkraut, kimchi.
Okay, those are pretty tasty.
They are, and they're good for you.
Okay, so those help the good bacteria thrive, but what about dealing with the bad bacteria?
That's where things get a little trickier. Dr. Ekberg points out that sometimes even healthy foods can have negative effects if our gut isn't functioning properly.
What? Really?
Yeah, it's not always as simple as eat this, avoid that.
So even if you're eating all the right things,
Right.
it might not be doing you any good.
Well, if your gut's not happy, those foods could actually be causing inflammation.
And weakening your immune system.
Exactly.
So you mentioned SIBO.
Small intestinal bacterial overgrowth.
Yeah, and lectin sensitivity. Can you explain what those are?
So SIBO is basically when you have an overgrowth of bacteria in the small intestine.
Okay.
And this can lead to all sorts of digestive issues like bloating, gas, diarrhea.
Oh, no fun.
Not fun at all. And lectins are proteins found in certain foods.
Okay.
that can actually bind to the lining of your gut and interfere with digestion.
So even if you're eating healthy foods,
Yeah,
if you have SIBO or are sensitive to lectins,
right.
those foods could actually be contributing to gut issues.
Exactly. It's a perfect example of how gut health isn't just about what you eat,
Mm-hmm.
but how well your body is digesting and absorbing those nutrients.
So it's not just about the input, it's about the whole process.
Exactly.
So what does Dr. Ekberg recommend for addressing these kinds of imbalances?
Well, he suggests that elimination diets, like the carnivore diet, can be helpful for some people.
The carnivore diet.
Yeah, it's a pretty extreme approach.
It is.
But he emphasizes that it's not meant to be a long-term solution.
Okay.
It's more about identifying trigger foods and then gradually reintroducing them once your gut is healed.
So it's like a reset button.
Kind of, yeah. He's also a big advocate for personalized testing
Okay.
and working with a knowledgeable practitioner to figure out what's going on in your specific case.
So finding what works for you.
Exactly. It's like figuring out which foods are friend or foe for your gut,
I like that.
and then building a diet that supports optimal digestion and immune function.
So cool. And it's fascinating how much our gut health is connected to our overall well-being.
Right?
There's even a term for it, the gut-brain connection.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that.
So what we eat can actually impact our mood, our sleep, even our cognitive function.
It's true. The bacteria in our gut produce neurotransmitters
Okay.
that directly communicate with our brain.
So it's like a two-way street.
It is. So if you're struggling with anxiety, depression, or brain fog,
Oh, wow.
addressing your gut health could be a game changer.
Wow, that's incredible. It's amazing to think about how interconnected our bodies are.
It really is.
And how something as seemingly simple as what we eat can have such a profound impact.
Right.
Okay, so we've covered nutrition and gut health.
The foundation.
What other areas does Dr. Ekberg focus on when it comes to boosting immunity?
Well, no conversation about health would be complete without talking about sleep.
Oh, tell me about it. I know, I feel it when I haven't slept well.
We all do.
I'm more irritable, more likely to reach for those sugary snacks,
For sure.
and definitely more likely to catch whatever's going around.
Exactly. And Dr. Ekberg is really adamant about getting 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep per night.
Okay, so quantity matters, but what about quality?
That's important too.
What tips does he give for making sure we're actually getting restful sleep?
Well, he's a big advocate for syncing our sleep cycles with the sun,
Okay,
waking up with the sunrise and winding down as the sun sets.
that makes sense.
Yeah, it's how our bodies naturally evolved to function.
Right, it's like our internal clock.
Exactly. He also warns against the dangers of blue light at night,
Oh yeah, the screens.
especially from phones and computers. He says it disrupts our melatonin production.
Oh right, melatonin's that hormone that helps us fall asleep.
Exactly.
I'm definitely guilty of scrolling through social media before bed.
Yeah, me too. It's so tempting.
I'm gonna have to try putting my phone away earlier and see if it makes a difference.
I think you'll be surprised.
What else?
Well, he also recommends creating a relaxing bedtime routine.
Okay.
Maybe taking a warm bath, reading a book, or doing some gentle stretches.
Anything to help wind down.
Yeah, anything that helps signal to your body that it's time to rest.
Oh, and he specifically says no using alcohol as a sleep aid.
Right.
Okay.
It might knock you out initially,
Yeah.
but it actually prevents you from getting that deep, restorative sleep.
So you're not really getting good quality sleep.
Not really, no. And that's the sleep that's crucial for immune function.
It's like thinking you're building a strong foundation for your house by using flimsy materials.
Oh, I like that analogy.
It might seem fine at first, but it's not going to hold up in the long run.
So true.
Okay, so we've got nutrition, gut health, sleep.
The big three.
They are. What other areas does Dr. Ekberg highlight in his video?
Well, what I appreciate about his approach is that he doesn't just focus on the physical. He also emphasizes the importance of emotional well-being and stress management.
Right, because feeling stressed and overwhelmed definitely takes a toll on your immune system.
It's like your body is constantly in fight or flight mode.
And it doesn't have the resources to focus on keeping you healthy.
Exactly. And Dr. Ekberg is a big believer in finding ways to lighten up,
Okay.
not taking ourselves too seriously.
Easier said than done sometimes.
It can be, but he encourages making time for fun and connection.
Those are important.
They are. He even talks about the importance of cultivating a positive mindset
Oh, interesting.
and consuming uplifting content to counteract all the negativity we're exposed to.
That's so important. It's easy to get caught up in all the doom and gloom.
It really is.
Especially on social media.
Oh yeah, comparing ourselves to others never ends well.
It doesn't, but consciously choosing to focus on the good things,
Yeah.
the things we're grateful for, can make a big difference.
Absolutely. And he doesn't just leave it at think positive thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
He offers practical tools for shifting our mental and emotional state,
Oh, like what?
like meditation and breath work.
Oh, those are good ones.
They are. Have you tried those?
I've been hearing a lot about meditation lately.
Me too.
Is it really that effective for reducing stress and boosting immunity?
It really can be. Meditation helps to calm the nervous system
Okay.
and shift us out of that fight-or-flight response.
So it's like giving our immune system a much-needed break.
Exactly. And breath work is another powerful rule.
Yeah, I've heard of that too.
It's something you can do anytime, anywhere.
And it helps calm the nervous system.
Yes, and reduce stress.
Okay. I'm definitely going to have to look into incorporating more of both of those.
I think you'll be surprised at how much of a difference it can make.
All right, so we've covered nutrition, gut health, sleep, and emotional well-being.
A lot of ground covered.
We have, but Dr. Ekberg doesn't stop there, does he?
He does not.
He also talks about a bunch of natural remedies.
Oh yeah, he does.
That can be helpful for supporting immunity.
This is where it gets really fun.
I love exploring natural remedies. What are some of the things he highlights?
Well, he's a big advocate for hot and cold therapy.
Oh, like saunas and ice baths.
Exactly. Like taking a sauna followed by a cold plunge.
Oh, wow.
It's definitely invigorating.
I can imagine.
And it's thought to stimulate the immune system by improving circulation and lymphatic drainage.
I can see how that would be a shock to the system.
It is, but a lot of people swear by it.
Interesting. What else?
And then he also mentions aromatherapy.
Ooh, I love aromatherapy.
Using essential oils like lavender and eucalyptus to promote relaxation.
Yeah, and to support immune function.
Right. Do you have a favorite essential oil?
I love lavender. I always have a diffuser going in my home office.
Oh, me too. It's so calming.
It is. It really creates a relaxing atmosphere.
It does. And then, interestingly enough, Dr. Ekberg also touches on homeopathy
Homeopathy.
as a potential tool for immune support.
Now, that's something I've always been curious about.
Yeah.
But I don't really understand how it works.
It's definitely a different approach to healing.
Than conventional medicine.
Right. It uses very diluted substances to stimulate the body's own healing capabilities.
So it's not about directly targeting symptoms,
Right.
but more about supporting the body's natural ability to heal itself.
Exactly. And what I find so refreshing about Dr. Ekberg's approach
Yeah.
is that he's open to exploring a variety of modalities,
Okay.
both conventional and alternative, to find what works best for each individual.
It's like he's saying, hey, here's a whole tea box of options.
Exactly.
Let's see what resonates with you and what helps you feel your best.
I love that approach.
Me too. And speaking of feeling our best, he also emphasizes something that's often overlooked.
What's that?
Spending time in nature.
Oh, yes. He's so passionate about that.
He is. He talks about how getting outside, soaking up sunshine, breathing fresh air,
Yeah.
and moving our bodies in nature can be incredibly beneficial for our immune systems.
It's almost like we forget that we're part of nature
We do.
and that being in nature is essential for our well-being.
It's true. Dr. Esberg even suggests that there's an energetic exchange
Oh, wow.
that happens between us and the earth when we spend time in nature.
Like we're recharging our batteries.
Exactly. It's like we're plugging into a source of vitality and rejuvenation.
I love that.
So getting back to nature, even for a few minutes each day, can be really powerful.
It can. It's about resetting our systems and supporting that optimum immune function.
And, it doesn't have to be anything complicated.
Yeah.
It could be as simple as going for a walk in the park.
Or gardening.
Or just sitting outside and enjoying the fresh air.
Exactly.
I love that. So it's not just about avoiding germs and taking supplements.
Right.
It's about creating a life that supports our overall well-being.
Inside and out.
Exactly.
It's about nourishing our bodies with real food, moving our bodies, getting enough sleep,
managing stress,
minimizing exposure to harmful substances,
and connecting with nature.
a holistic approach.
It is. It's about looking at the whole picture and addressing those root causes.
Rather than just trying to mask the symptoms.
Exactly, and I think that's what makes Dr. Ekberg's approach so empowering.
I agree.
He's not giving us a list of rules to follow.
Right.
He's encouraging us to become active participants in our own health journey.
To take ownership.
Exactly. He's giving us the knowledge and tools to understand our bodies.
Listen to our bodies.
And to make choices that support our well-being.
I love that.
Me too, and I think that's a really powerful message.
It is.
Especially in a world where we're often bombarded with conflicting information.
And quick fixes.
Exactly. Okay, so we've talked a lot about what to add to our lives to boost immunity.
All those positive steps we can take.
But Dr. Ekberg also talks about the importance of minimizing our exposure to certain things.
Right.
Things that can weaken our defenses over time.
Like what?
Well, we've already talked about reducing sugar, processed foods, and artificial ingredients.
The usual suspects.
Right. But he goes beyond diet and highlights other harmful substances that can chip away at our immunity over time.
So what are some of those things?
He specifically mentions smoking, excessive alcohol, aluminum, plastics, pesticides, and harsh cleaning chemicals.
That's a lot to be mindful of.
It is. It's almost like a checklist of things to be aware of in our modern world.
And while it can feel overwhelming to try to avoid all of those things completely,
It can.
Dr. Ekberg's message is one of empowerment,
Okay.
encouraging listeners to make small changes where they
Well,
can.
changes add up.
They do. It's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly. This has been such an insightful deep dive so far.
It has. We've covered so much ground already.
We have, and I think it's important to remember that boosting immunity is not about finding a magic bullet
Right.
or a quick fix.
It's about creating a lifestyle that supports your body's natural defenses.
And helps you thrive.
Exactly.
I think one of the things I really appreciate about Dr. Esberg is how empowering his approach feels.
It is.
You know, it's not overwhelming.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, he's not preachy or judgmental at all.
Not at all.
It's more like, hey, here's what I've learned. I want to share it with you so you can make your own decisions.
Yeah, make informed choices about your own health.
Exactly. And he doesn't shy away from the complexity of things either.
I was going to say
He
that.
could have just said, eat healthy, you'll be fine.
Right. Easy peasy.
But he actually goes into those nuances like SIBO and lectin sensitivity.
Which can be tricky.
It can be tricky.
It's not always straightforward.
Yeah, it's a great example of how this deep dive is about giving you tools
Okay.
so you can think critically about your health,
Yeah.
not just blindly following advice.
Don't just take our word for it.
Right. It's like he's encouraging us to be our own health advocates.
To ask questions.
To experiment.
And see what you're...
And find what works best for our bodies. Speaking of experimenting,
Okay.
I'm curious to hear more about those natural remedies.
Oh, yes. The natural remedies.
What did he talk about?
He talks about things like hot and cold therapy,
Okay.
aromatherapy,
Uh-huh.
and even homeopathy.
Oh, wow. Okay, I've heard hot and cold therapy is really good for the immune system.
It is. The idea is you're alternating between those hot and cold temperatures.
Right.
Like imagine taking a sauna
Yeah.
followed by a cold plunge.
Ooh.
And that can stimulate your circulation and lymphatic drainage,
Oh, wow.
which gives your immune system a boost.
I've tried a cold shower before.
How was it?
Oh, man, it definitely wakes you up.
I bet.
But I can see how it would be beneficial for getting things moving in that lymphatic system.
Right. Definitely not for the faint of heart, though.
It's not, but a lot of people swear by it.
They do. They say it's invigorating and immune boosting.
And then there's aromatherapy, which is a little gentler.
A little more gentle, yeah.
You mentioned using essential oils like lavender and eucalyptus.
Those are good ones.
They are, to promote relaxation and support immune function.
Exactly. I'm a big fan of aromatherapy.
Me too. I diffuse lavender essential oil almost every night
Oh, nice.
to help me sleep. It creates such a calming atmosphere.
I do the same thing. It's amazing how powerful scents can be.
They are for influencing our mood and energy levels.
Yeah, and you know what's really interesting? He also touched on homeopathy
Homeopathy.
as a potential tool.
Now, that's something I've always been curious about,
Yeah.
but I don't really understand how it works.
It's definitely a different approach to healing than conventional medicine.
Okay.
It uses extremely diluted substances
Okay.
to stimulate the body's self-healing abilities.
So it's not about directly targeting symptoms with strong pharmaceuticals.
Not really, no.
It's more about gently nudging the body towards balance.
Yeah, that's the general idea. And I really like Dr. Ekberg's approach
Yeah.
because he incorporates all these different types of modalities.
He seems very open-minded.
He does. It's like he's saying, here's this toolbox full of options.
Yeah.
See what resonates with you and makes you feel your best.
Which is important because what works for one person might not work for another.
Absolutely.
We're all unique individuals.
We are.
And, you know, speaking of lifestyle, he also emphasizes spending time in nature.
Oh, yes. He's a huge advocate for that.
You know, getting outside, soaking up that sunshine, breathing fresh air.
Yeah.
It's so important.
It is. It's like we forget we're part of nature.
We do.
And being in nature is essential for our well-being.
It's true. He even suggests that there's like an energetic exchange
Interesting.
between us and the earth when we're out in nature.
Like recharging your battery.
Exactly. It's like plugging into a source of vitality
I love that.
and rejuvenation.
It makes you realize how disconnected we've become from the natural world.
We have.
Like we spend so much time indoors staring at screens
Yeah.
that we forget how good it feels to just be outside.
I've definitely experienced that feeling
Yeah.
after a long hike or even just sitting in my garden for a few minutes.
Pusha.
I feel so much more grounded and energized.
And that translates to a stronger immune system.
Yeah, that sense of groundedness and vitality.
It does.
So even something as simple as taking a walk in the park
Yeah.
or spending a few minutes barefoot in the grass
Granny,
can be beneficial.
it can. It's about reconnecting with nature
Right.
and letting our bodies tap into that healing power.
It makes you wonder if part of the reason we're seeing so many autoimmune issues and chronic illnesses is because we're so disconnected.
It's an interesting thought.
As we're talking about all this,
Yeah.
it's striking me how much his approach aligns with ancient wisdom traditions.
Oh, tell me more.
The ones that emphasize living in harmony with nature and listening to our bodies.
I love that.
It's not about fighting disease.
Right.
It's about creating an environment where our bodies can thrive.
And naturally defend themselves.
Exactly. It's about a lifestyle that supports our well-being.
Mind, body, and spirit.
It's about nourishing ourselves with real food.
Moving our bodies in ways that feel good.
Getting enough sleep, managing stress.
Minimizing those harmful substances.
Connecting with nature, cultivating a positive mindset.
It's holistic.
It is. It's not just about the absence of disease.
It's about the presence of vitality and well-being.
And it's not about being perfect either, right?
Of course not.
We all have our slip-ups.
We do.
Our indulgences.
Absolutely.
It's about progress, not perfection.
So true. It's about making those conscious choices.
Most of the time.
And having compassion for ourselves.
When we fall short.
Exactly. Especially during the holidays.
Oh, yeah.
When there's so much temptation.
So much pressure to be merry and bright.
Yeah. But he reminds us that taking care of ourselves isn't selfish.
It's not.
It's essential.
When we feel good, we can show up better for ourselves and for others.
Exactly. Even though we've been talking about all these different strategies,
Yeah.
the most important takeaway is that we have more control than we realize.
We do. It's easy to feel like we're at the mercy of our genes or our circumstances.
It is.
But he really empowers us to take ownership of our health.
It's not about being a victim
It's about being an active participant.
in our own health journey.
It's not just about the info itself, though. It's
Right.
about how he presents it.
Right.
He makes learning about health fun.
Engaging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't just give us dry facts. He uses storytelling and analogies.
Makes it memorable.
Like that castle analogy for the immune system.
Oh, yeah.
So simple.
The fact.
But it really helps people visualize.
Definitely.
And I loved that story about the vultures.
Got it, yeah.
Like the stomach acid.
Strong as battery acid.
It's crazy.
I know. Makes you think twice.
It does. But seriously.
Yeah,
It shows how amazing our bodies are.
they are.
And how powerful those defenses can be.
So true.
I think sometimes we take our health for granted.
Yeah, until something goes wrong.
Exactly.
But then you stop and think about it.
Yeah.
All the things our bodies do every day.
It's pretty awe-inspiring.
It is. That's one of the things I appreciate about his approach.
Oh, yeah.
It inspires a sense of wonder.
Appreciation for our bodies.
Exactly.
It's not about fear or guilt.
It's about empowerment.
Yeah. And taking ownership of our well-being.
That's a really important distinction.
It is.
Recognizing we have choices.
And that those choices have consequences.
Definitely. Even small changes made consistently over time can make a big impact.
Absolutely. It's about finding what works for you.
Experimenting.
Yeah. Making adjustments along the way.
Being kind to yourself, too.
Oh, that's so important. We're all human.
We are.
We make mistakes.
It happens.
But we learn from them and keep moving forward.
This journey of health and well-being isn't a destination.
It's not.
It's an ongoing process.
It's like we're constantly evolving.
Adapting to our environment.
And our circumstances.
Exactly. That's why it's so important to be curious.
Keep learning.
Yeah. And be open to new ideas.
I love that. This has been a rich deep dive as we wrap up.
Okay.
What's one final takeaway for our listeners?
There are so many things you can do to support your immune system.
Yeah, we talked about a lot.
But the most important thing is to remember, it's not about being perfect.
It's not about following a rigid set of rules.
Or depriving yourself.
It's about finding a balance.
Yeah, one that works for you.
That nourishes your body, mind, and spirit.
And being kind to yourself along the way.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
Well, my friend,
Uh-huh.
it's been a pleasure diving deep with you today.
Likewise.
To our listeners,
Yeah.
thanks for joining us.
We hope you learned some things.
And feel inspired to take charge of your health.
You are capable of creating a life full of vitality and well-being.
Absolutely. Until next time, stay curious, stay healthy, and keep diving deep.